Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going in Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going in Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Well, Larson.
And welcome back to Steven Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. On today's episode, we'll be taking a look at your hot takes from the world of professional wrestling and reacting to them. Larson, what's first on the agenda today?
First up, we got a hot take here from The Wallinator. The Wallinator says the following: Rollins cashing in during Cena versus Cody at SummerSlam is the key to everything.
Ooh.
It's the key.
Ooh.
So you got the bulletin board with the center with all the red string going out.
Oh yeah.
It's another heist of the century situation. It saves Cena from his mediocre heel run and gives him the motivation to turn face. It saves Cody by establishing a new top heel that he must vanquish. It saves Rollins from being stuck contending for the secondary world championship that he was always above. There's a lot to wrap your head around here. There's a lot of things in the hot take of the last few weeks about Cena's heel turn being mid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. In fact,
below the mid.
It's been such a topic of discussion that one of our hot takes was like, you guys always do the same hot takes. People talk about Cena way too much, but he's a hot topic of conversation. That's why he ends up on the hot takes.
Yep.
So if Seth Rollins cashing in on Cena versus Cody at SummerSlam is the deal, would that be like a really cool, oh my God moment? This is a new twist and sets the rest of the year in motion.
I mean, it just really further establishes the World Heavyweight Championship as the consolation title. That's why I kind of like the idea. Look, the title that has undisputed on that is always going to kind of be up there like the A title. For the World Heavyweight Championship to not be seen as the consolation title, the title between the undisputed title and the mid-card titles, it needs to be involved in a huge story, needs to main event pay-per-views. And I feel like if they have a huge story plan with Seth Rollins, which remains to be seen, I thought that's what we were going to get coming out of WrestleMania. It hasn't really panned out that way. But if the idea is that Seth wins that title, World Heavyweight Championship, feuds with CM Punk for said title, that's going to main event shows. That's going to elevate the prestige of the World Heavyweight Championship. And that's what kind of needs to happen. We need those titles kind of on equal footing, I feel like. Cody's going to be going after the undisputed title, without a doubt. By the end of the year, he's probably going to have it again. And we've seen Seth versus Cody a lot. Granted, we've seen Seth versus Punk, but I feel like there's plenty more there to mine. So me personally, I feel like the direction to go is actually Seth cashing in and getting the World Heavyweight Championship and then feuding with CM Punk. I feel like that's the route they should take.
What was your two criteria for elevating the world title? Main event pay-per-views?
Pay-per-views, and has to be involved in A-level stories.
Here's the problem with what you're saying. Here's my hot take. The World Heavyweight Championship being the fun Triple H title is totally fine. It doesn't need elevation because there really only should be one top title. Here's the one criteria your two criteria is missing. There's the third one. The top names need to want it. And
well,
right
I think
now,
that kind of ties in with interesting stories with top-of-the-line competitors. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, yeah.
Right now, the top guy, John Cena, number 17, is that guy. And Cody wants his that title still has the Rhodes stink on it. And when I say Rhodes stink, I mean Cody lost it, Cody wants it. Cody's the main event of WWE. So unless he were to go after the World Heavyweight Championship, that title is going to be the fun Jey Uso, Gunther. Sami Zayn is going to have that title. Sami Zayn's an upper mid-card guy. So I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think that Triple H just considers that title, the title that he can do other stuff with. Like, hey, Goldberg's coming back. We're not going to have him take on Cena, but we've got this other thing we can call the world title.
They should have him take on Cena. That's a marquee matchup there.
You put CM Punk in the ring with John Cena, which is what they've done.
Yeah, but Punk's going to lose that.
He wants that top title.
But when he doesn't get it, he's going to try. When Seth gets the other title, he's going to go after that one.
No. When Seth gets the main title, he's going to go after that one. It's loaded. The brand, here's the problem. The problem really is the brand split is meaningless. That's the problem.
It is.
Because the top title on Raw is the John Cena title. The top title on SmackDown is the John Cena title. It should be the way it was back in 03, 04, 05, when the top title on Raw was the Triple H title, the big gold belt, because they rarely met. When they did, it was actually kind of a special occasion. Everybody remembers the big ECW promo where Paul Heyman says Triple H doesn't, he's not the SmackDown champion, or JBL. The only reason you're champion is because Triple H doesn't like work on Tuesdays or Fridays or whatever it was. Thursdays.
Tuesdays. It was Tuesdays.
It was Tuesdays.
Work on Tuesdays, yeah. Because I think they taped
because
on Tuesdays.
Raw was Monday. Yeah. And so I think that the part of this hot take is it saves Rollins from being stuck contending for the secondary world championship, because getting that secondary title out of the mud is too tall a task, and they're not interested in it. That's baked into the premise here.
There's one way out of this.
And it's not Seth Rollins cashing in on it.
It's John Cena walking away on December 31st, still holding that undisputed title. Poof, it's gone. Then you only have one world title, and it's the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, but you know what they would do. They would create another. It'd be the Universal title all over again. They'd create another title.
I know, but then the World Heavyweight Championship comparatively would have the legacy, and that would be the top title.
You know, I had a hot take on the Wrestle Juice video the other day that said Seth Rollins should fail his cash in. And I said, that's a cool idea with the big caveat, because I don't like 2 years in a row failing cash-ins. I don't like that. Because what do we see this week on Raw? Seth comes out because Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed couldn't get the job done. The week before, they couldn't get the job done. What if Seth, as this version of bad guy Seth Rollins, kind of fails a lot at first? What if he fails his cash-in, but the next Monday on Raw, he somehow wins the title? And I don't know, you'd have to write all those shenanigans or whatever.
Yeah.
But he fails first, but then he very quickly actually gets the title. I don't hate that, because his path has been so damn easy up until now to getting Money in the Bank. He needs some adversity.
Yeah, he does.
But I think, let me ask you something. What's more important in your estimation? Elevating Seth Rollins or elevating the world title?
Like, how much more can you elevate Seth Rollins?
By having him win the title that Cena and Cody want and CM Punk want?
But then if he wins the title, that title, the undisputed title, but if the stories involved are meh, then the title's going to feel meh.
No, it won't, because it'll be main eventing everything.
Well, but one of the reasons that the undisputed title, when Roman had it, felt huge is because he had it because the story was good.
Not always.
Not always, but I'm saying that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah. Look,
one of the reasons that Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship reign was mid was because the creative was mid, and therefore the title felt mid.
Yeah, but if you're asking, like, how much more can Rollins be elevated, that's my answer, is if he beats Cena. Look, a bad story is a bad story.
Yeah.
Nobody's claiming that what Cena's doing right now is out of this world amazing creatively, but it's the top title, and that's undisputed.
Well, it says so on there.
It says it, but it's also, if you ask, 9 fans out of 10, maybe not Triple H, but if you ask 9 fans out of 10, what's top title? This is John Cena title.
Oh, 10 out of 10 will say that. No,
there's always that one person. There's always that one.
I'd love to hear someone make the case in good faith that the World Heavyweight Championship is a top title.
There's always that one person.
Yeah.
But Seth Rollins is going to be, I'll put it this way, Seth Rollins is going to be the A heel after Cena's done probably pretty shortly, not that far away.
Yeah, it could be as soon as SummerSlam.
And don't you want your A heel to get the top title?
It's more of a challenge to take the B title and make it the A title, Steve.
I mean, you think they're up to that challenge, dude? Come on now. Come on. You watch.
I feel like Seth thinks he is.
All right. Well,
you know what? Maybe one path to elevating the World Heavyweight Championship, though, is putting it on Goldberg.
You get a lot of people talking.
It would. Fear and Loathing here has a hot take. Says bringing back Goldberg pleases absolutely no one other than Goldberg.
Hard disagree. Man, you cannot look at everybody in Green Bay last night or 2 nights ago. Seemed pretty happy with Goldberg coming back.
I wouldn't say everybody. There's probably a couple people who are like, boo.
Those marks.
I'm not saying you can't say everybody. There's an arena full of 14,000 people. There's probably at least 1,000 people that could care less that Goldberg was back.
You think it's like 10%?
Maybe.
Wow. In Atlanta, it's going to be closer to 95%.
It's going to be a vast majority of people are be excited that Goldberg's back.
If he wins, so here's the thing. I always go back to this. When Hogan won at WrestleMania 9 in the main event, that place went crazy too. Even though everybody looks back on it, it's seen objectively as this horrible moment.
Well, then, he was kind of like ushered out the door by Vince because it seemed like Hulkamania has run its course.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of Goldberg coming back, it's like, I don't know. Let me ask you this. How long would Goldberg have to be back on a weekly basis for him to start getting booed?
How long did it take last time? Because it did happen when he was feuding with Brock. Sorry, by the time WrestleMania came around and he lost the title to Brock, remember that promo he cut after the Raw after Mania that we were there for?
Yeah.
And it was more or less, hey, I did this so my son could see me wrestle. He was like trying to justify it because he was getting booed by that point. And that was November to April.
Was he getting booed?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have to revisit.
Because that promo was oddly confrontational.
Okay. All right. I'd have to revisit. That's when we brought his kid into the ring. Eh?
No, I think that was a different one.
I thought we were there for the one where he brought his kid into the ring.
Maybe that was the one. I don't remember.
Because he lost to Goldberg and he basically said goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay, I think he brought his kid into the ring.
In
any event, I think people like he's going to be here for 3 weeks and then he's probably going to be gone unless he does do the thing that you mentioned on the Raw review and go to SummerSlam too.
I'll say this. If Goldberg wins the title, the next time he shows up, there'll be some boos.
Yeah, but how significant?
I mean, I think enough to hear, but would it be the majority? Absolutely not.
More boos than Truth got We Want Truth shouts?
I don't know.
Because at least on television, those didn't seem overwhelming.
Yeah.
Back when he wasn't on television. Anyways, I think the Atlanta crowd, I think there is going to be a disconnect between the internet and the live crowds for Goldberg because Goldberg is a live crowd pleasing guy.
Yeah.
And when he shows up, people pop, at least because he's a short-term attraction. You're right. If he's there for any longer, like on a weekly basis involved in stories, any longer than like a couple months, maybe even a month, people are not going to be into that. But
I think there's also the understanding that people have that this is going to be his last run.
Yeah.
And so he'd be like, all right, Goldberg, we appreciate you.
Right.
Thank you for the memories you've provided us.
Now you can get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, you got me kind of worried about that world title on the Saturday night's main event because he could just lose it at SummerSlam a couple weeks later.
Yep. I don't think it's a certainty that Gunther walks out of that show with that World Heavyweight Championship. Andre Hawley here with a hot take says Naomi's heel turn has been better executed than Cena's heel turn.
So
if nothing else, I haven't seen the level of apathy towards Naomi's heel turn that there has been towards Cena's. There's a lot of people like, I don't care about this. This is mid. Regarding Cena's heel turn, I haven't seen that sentiment about Naomi's at all. Granted, I'm not on social media anymore, so that might be part of it.
No, here's also another indicator. People don't talk about Naomi's heel turn as much as they do John Cena's heel turn. And so if buzz is sort of the indicator, Cena's heel turn is much more talked about. Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, Naomi's heel turn is a pretty straightforward one. It's like she wasn't getting a hell of a lot of traction as a good guy. There is kind of no more for her to do as a good guy. So, hey, let's try something new. And she has run with it. She has absolutely killed it. But it's not like she's been the primary focus of the company and you got all this pressure and these high profile situations, this huge spotlight like Cena does, who, has been PG Cena for 20 years now, or 15, whatever it's been. 15 years, I guess, since 2010 or so. And so I kind of feel like in this situation, the heel turns are a bit apples and oranges because it's two very different situations. I will, from my perspective as a fan, whenever Cena shows up, I'm like, I know I'm going to be sitting here for a while and I'm not going to get a whole lot of new. When Naomi, and that's not to say I don't like the heel turn. I think that he's fun and good in small amounts and some of his performances have been pretty good. But when Naomi shows up, I know it's not going to be for very long, but she's going to entertain the hell out of me. And I know she's having a lot of fun. And I feel like I'm probably pound for pound more entertained by her than the Cena heel turn. But Cena's a big deal. And this is going to be a story that people look back on, and analyze historically from a wrestling fan standpoint. So I think it's kind of apples and oranges.
I'll say this. I feel like Naomi's transformation has felt more organic and more complete. Like there's still, I'm sure it's intentional, there's vestiges of babyface Cena going on with heel Cena. And I think that's intentional because he's going to come back around to babyface Cena before this year is done. But the journey to get to heel Naomi and the transformation during the course of that journey was, you could trace it all the way back to Money in the Bank last year, where she when she was kind of aligned with Bayley. Like you can go back a ways to trace. All right, this is what led to Naomi's heel turn. It wasn't just, the relationship between her and Jade and Bianca. You can go back how many times that she was kind of passed by for opportunities. Mm-hmm, and so I like that the long-term organic build to this. And it feels earned, It feels like, this makes sense. This feels satisfying.
Yeah.
And she's invested fully in it, and it's been great. Cena's was long rumored before it happened at Elimination Chamber. There was some talk that could be the case. And he had the singular shocking moment when it happened. And he's given his justification for it after the fact, but it's not necessarily like, oh, he was really laying the groundwork beforehand,
I'm trying in my head to figure out which actual moment obviously I was more shocked by the Cena heel turn. Jade attacking Naomi at Elimination Chamber was a killer moment. Same really pay-per-view. A killer. And Bianca in there putting on an Oscar-worthy performance.
That was fantastic.
It was a terrific moment. And I think I was probably I wouldn't say it's apples and oranges in terms of my entertainment value. They were both excellent moments. They really were. They really were.
I'll say this too, with regards to Naomi's heel turn, everything that's happened after the turn has built upon what they did prior and made sense. That's not the case necessarily with Cena's heel turn, because they're really giving us a convincing argument why The Rock ain't involved anymore.
Yeah, and Cena hasn't given me that moment. Maybe when he made fun of that kid and that kid was standing there dumbstruck. But there hasn't been that one moment like we got with Naomi where she said, your parents weren't home, so I went in anyways.
Yeah.
And you look at Bianca's face like, the fuck? What?
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything that clever with Cena where it's just goddamn entertaining. Yeah. And with Cena, he comes out and you can tell he's having a good time running down the crowd, but it's kind of the same thing, and he just takes forever to get. That's why LA Knight was like shockingly kind of like a breath of fresh air on SmackDown when he came out, because he's sort of like running everybody down in his old LA Knight way, his Teflon way. And so I don't know, but that moment when Naomi said, your parents weren't home, so I went in anyways.
So I let myself in.
I let myself in. What do you mean you let yourself in? You broke in is what you did. And you started looking through a photo album. You're a weirdo. And Bianca's expression was just really terrific.
So good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So good.
Yeah, Naomi's pretty terrific.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've got more hot takes on the way here, but first up, we've got some sponsors for the show today. So let's go ahead and talk about them.
Let's do it. Let's take a break, get a word from our sponsor, DeleteMe. Steve, you know me. Privacy is a huge deal for Larson, which is one reason why it drives me absolutely crazy whenever I find out that my personal data is apparently just out there, available online. In fact, I can think of several times over the years when someone tried to use my identity to buy something.
Couldn't imagine who would do that. Well, Larson, DeleteMe makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. When you sign up with DeleteMe, you can tell them exactly what information you want deleted, and they'll do all the hard work of getting it all removed from data broker sites. Plus, DeleteMe isn't just a one-time service. They'll send you regular reports on what info they have found, where they found it, and what was removed.
So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe. Now, at a special discount for our listeners, today get 20% off your DeleteMe plan by texting RAW to 64000.
The only way to get 20% off is to text RAW to 64000. That's RAW to 64000. Message and data rates may apply.
And let's get a word from our sponsor, Cash App. So, Steve, the wife, and I went out with some friends recently, and when we were paying the bill, I had to take a moment to think, what is the best way for me to cover my portion of the check when someone else is kind of paying for it all up front,
Yeah. So let me take a guess, old man. You got out your checkbook, just like I did.
You're asking me if I got out my checkbook?
You got out your checkbook.
I didn't get out my checkbook.
I know you didn't get out your checkbook because you remember that I was telling you a couple weeks ago about Cash App. Cash App is literally an official partner of WWE and sponsored Money in the Bank. Larson, tell me that you use Cash App and no check.
Well, if you'd let me finish, you would hear me say I did not get out the checkbook. I was going to say, thanks to you, Steve. I had Cash App on my phone, was able to get the money moved over super quick. You weren't expecting that, were you?
Nope. Unpredictable. Because Cash App is safe, easy, and it's a fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends. It's also easy to get started. Just enter your phone or email and some other basic information. No bank account needed, and it's secure and safe. Like if you're about to send money to a sketchy account, a scam warning pops up.
For a limited time, only new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real. There's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code GOINGRAW in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
All right, let's continue on with these hot takes. Next up from Hollow88 says, whoever wins King of the Ring should lose at SummerSlam. Let's go through the roster.
Sure.
Hollow says Cody is boring. Sammy is annoying. Jay is stale. Randy feels aimless. WWE should have used King of the Ring to push someone new to the main event scene like they did last year with Gunther.
All right, let's go down the final four here. Steve, is Cody boring?
I mean, some could make that case, sure, but he's also still a very popular main event guy.
Let's look at it this way. Rather than using these words to describe their characters, let's apply adjectives to...
Like play?
Yeah, like play. To describe the effect of them winning this tournament. Like, I feel like Cody is a boring choice to win the tournament, perhaps. A predictable choice.
Okay.
So for Sammy, that would be kind of the, I think in some respects, kind of the more unpredictable, though maybe not. Jay, I guess, also as well, having just won the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if you'd expect him to then go through this tournament and beat Cody and then either Sammy or Randy Orton to win it. Although it'd be huge for him if they really want to establish Jey Uso as a main event guy, beating Cody and then especially Randy in the finals. All right, he's a main event dude then.
Who would have been? Oh, sorry.
And then Randy is a safe choice. That'd just be a safe choice to win.
You know who would have been a really interesting choice to win the whole thing?
LA Knight, yeah.
Well, he would have gotten a big pop. Braun Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
One thing they really need to start doing is giving us some indication as to what the interpersonal dynamics. You and I know I sound
We
like
harp
a broken
on this all the
record
time. Yeah, absolutely.
because we harp on this all the time. But then you're adding some intrigue into, because like Seth, he won Money in the Bank. Braun gets into King of the Ring. He wins the. I mean, he was in the qualifier.
Well,
but
that was a plan that Seth laid out. It's like either you or Bronson are winning this tournament, and I have the briefcase, and then I'll cash in, and we'll all have all the titles.
if Braun wins this whole thing, then Seth is like, I didn't think this plan was actually going to happen. Now I'm kind of confronted with some interesting issues here. Braun's going to go after the World Heavyweight Championship. I guess I'm going to go after the Undisputed title, but Braun also might be an easy mark if, maybe I can cash in there and still keep him under thumb, or maybe not. There's more interesting things you have available to you if a Braun Breaker, who I feel is a little bit further ahead of Bronson Reed in terms of like the pecking order. If Braun Breaker wins that and goes on to main event SummerSlam, or even mid cards it with Gunther, and then you drag Gunther into the Seth Rollins thing, make that world title more interesting, like you were talking about in the opening segment here. Because I don't necessarily disagree with any of this, but the bottom line is any of this stuff can be written interesting. Randy is silly because they already did him and Cena. Jay, we've done that ad nauseum, because he'd be going back to Gunther.
Yeah.
And then Sammy has been talking a lot about the world title thing. I think, yeah, in terms of the power ranking, Sammy's probably the most interesting in terms of like the potential story there, because he finally has what he wants, an opportunity at the world title, a guaranteed shot at the world title on the major stage.
Yeah. But that'd be
Cody,
him versus Gunther again.
But I mean, it's probably just going to be Cody.
Yeah, it's going to be Cody. I feel like it's going to be Cody. Yeah.
He'll show up at the end of the main, probably the main event.
So
Cena
like
and Punk.
The interesting thing about the Final Four, I feel like, isn't necessarily who comes out the victor. It's the interpersonal dynamics between all four of them.
It's funny, the semifinals and then the finals is more interesting than who actually wins.
It is in terms of, given the histories of all these characters and their histories with each other. Like if Sammy Jay in the finals, wow, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Given their history. If it's Cody and Sammy, that's interesting. Cody and Jay in the semis it's right there already. Is really interesting. Cody Randy in the finals is interesting.
Yeah.
So that's the intrigue for me is, all right, how are these characters going to kind of bounce off each other given their lengthy histories, as opposed to who really wins?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of what I find more interesting about it. We got a hot take here from the Shocking LP. Says Evolution 2 going to low-key be best PLE all year. Well, if I remember correctly, Evolution 1 was far and away the best pay-per-view that year.
Yeah.
When it happened.
Yeah.
So I would not be shocked at all if Evolution 2 ends up being the best show of the year. Not shocked. I would not be shocked.
Man, there's a lot of good shows this year. Like that last AEW one was a really good one.
Yeah.
All In's going to be huge.
Yeah, All In's going to be massive.
SummerSlam has the potential to be really, really good too, especially now that we got the Money in the Bank winners, potential cash-ins going on, and it's 2 nights. So I think the potential is there. But if they do Asuka versus Iyo at SummerSlam, you can't tell me that's not going to be a match of the year candidate.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're going to do a Nikki Bella match. I like Nikki Bella. I think she's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know how great that match is going to be. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean. And then they have JC Jane defending the NXT title.
Yeah.
At Evolution.
Yeah.
I'm depending on who the opponent
maybe
is.
Against Blake Monroe.
Yeah. It's fine. But when you say card of the year, there's a lot of really good cards out there, is my point.
I understand that. All right, hot take here from Mr. Van Cleef says, if Mox puts over Hangman at All In and sets him up as the hero of the company, then Mox's title reign will have been a big success.
Okay, what outcome would make it No matter what, no matter who it is, it's going to get a massive pop. And it's going to make the next person. Let's say Hangman doesn't get it done.
Yeah. Ospreay doesn't get it done at Forbidden Door then against Mox.
If it's Hangman or Ospreay, mission accomplished. I'd need to see a lot more from Darby in terms of like him being around to make me think that would really work beyond the initial pop.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's Hangman or Ospreay, it's going to be mission accomplished. It's going to be a big deal. Yeah. It's got to be Hangman. I mean, they're doing the Cody, the WrestleMania, the last.
Yeah, they're doing the Cody Avengers thing. Yeah,
dude, they're doing the Cody Avengers thing. That's a bulletproof formula.
Well, I guess the first time Cody did the Cody Avengers thing, it didn't work. He lost. It's the second time.
Yeah, but
it worked.
Like, did he? How overbooked was that first match? Super overbooked.
I mean, the night before, Owens and Sammy beat.
He didn't have Undertaker in his corner in that first one.
Oh, that was a difference maker, huh? Not Seth and Shield gear.
Yeah, dude. Maker. No, that was the difference maker.
That was the difference maker.
Yeah.
So maybe if Hangman talks to Ospreay and be like, "Hey, Will, do your best Seth Rollins cosplay and show up at All In," and that'll mess with Mox.
Yeah, and then they can hire the guy who did the TNA version of the NWO theme to do a TNA version of Seth Rollins theme.
No, the Shield theme. Da-da.
I'm sorry, the Shield theme. Yeah.
Da-da.
Yeah.
Dun.
That's way too close. You're still there.
Oh. I'll think about it. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I don't know. We were both highly critical of especially the early phase of the Death Rider story. A lot of it did, in fact, suck. A lot of the early stuff was bad. Once they kind of moved on from this nebulous idea of Mox was trying to elevate the mid-carders, they've gotten away from that entirely.
Once they couldn't get Shane McMahon on board to be the higher power.
Probably, yeah.
Shane wanted to run the whole company.
And then just kind of made Mox more just kind of generic bad guy.
That story is so low-key disappointing and sad. He just wants to run a wrestling company. Why doesn't he just start his own indie fed?
I don't know. Why did he talk to Freddie Prinze Jr. or something? Freddie Prinze has been trying to get his wrestling. I mean,
you know why? But Freddie Prinze is going to want to run it.
Yeah, I know exactly.
It should be the Shane McMahon Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know.
SMWF.
I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know if the high of Hangman winning it All In, assuming that's the case, is going to completely erase all the crap that happened in the first half of Mox's title reign.
Man, come on. People are fickle. Their memories are, I don't even remember what happened back then. I remember Mox showing up, Tony, this is not your...
poured cleaning solution down Orange Cassidy's throat.
I don't remember that happening. I remember him saying, Tony, this is not your company anymore. And be like, Tony Schiavone doesn't own the company. Does he confuse right now?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's a good example. All right, we got a hot take here from Malik Black. Says, Iyo Sky's title reign has been bad. I don't think she has defended the title since Mania or even wrestled that much ever since then. I had the same issue with her last reign because other than the Bayley feud, her championship run was forgettable.
All right, let's take a look here at Iyo Sky. So they did the same thing with Bayley last year. She won against Iyo, and then they did nothing. I feel like Iyo's has been better than Bayley's last year. Bayley was like nowhere to be found last year.
Like Io's on TV, but what exactly is Io's story right now?
Waiting for Contender.
All right, so she's not doing anything is what you're saying.
Waiting for Contender. She's actively waiting for Contender.
Actively waiting for a contender. All
right, so this is what we've had since WrestleMania. Iyo Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer on the Monday after Mania.
It's a good match.
That went to a no contest. It was wonked.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the next week, she teamed with Jordynne Grace and beat Julian Roxanne Perez at NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week, May 5th, she beat Roxanne Perez in a 10-minute match. And then after that, the next week, her and Rhea defeated Julian Roxanne Perez. They destroyed Julian Roxanne.
Yeah.
That was a month ago, and she has literally done nothing since then.
And so she hasn't defended the title since Mania.
Right. So there was that kind of like Roxanne, Julia, and then Rhea always looking at her thing.
Yeah.
And then that ended in mid-May, and she's been on ice basically ever since then.
Yeah.
But she's shown up on television. She's been, very happy to see Kairi Sane's return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's been on TV. She's still been getting a great response from the crowd. Like, the crowd last night went absolutely crazy when Iyo made her entrance at the beginning of the show on Raw.
Since then, we've had a Backlash pay-per-view, and we've had... Have we had a Saturday
Night's main event? Yeah.
We've just had those two. I mean, yeah. And she
then
hasn't been
Money in the Bank,
on
of course.
either.
We had Money in the Bank.
Oh, and then we had Money in the Bank. She hasn't been on any of those.
No.
Ugh.
The Intercontinental title's been defended on pay-per-view more than the World Women's title has in that time frame.
That's a pretty good story, though.
Yeah, it is.
They need to get a good story for her. So yeah, I don't know. Triple H sees her as a big attraction. She doesn't need to be there all the. Roman wasn't there all the time.
But the thing is, Iyo is there all the time. She's just not doing anything.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with this. It's funny because Iyo, you can already tell Iyo is getting into that territory that like Asuka was in, where it's like she has an incredibly impressive resume that anybody would kill to have, but it's not enough because people love Iyo. They need to make her the Gunther of that title. Mm-hmm. Just put Rhea over there on SmackDown, and her and Bianca can, after Naomi beats Tiffany, cashes in, Bianca beats Naomi, then Rhea and Bianca can feud. Do that over there on SmackDown, but have Iyo be the Gunther of that title, like a 90%er.
Yeah. Have it for like 700 days.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But then if they ever do a title for title thing, like in Perth, she wins.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And then it'll be the A title.
Yeah. Next hot take here from Cinema Love 09 says Lyra and Becky should main event night 1 of SummerSlam in a Hell in a Cell match. Definitely deserve it.
Didn't we already have this one?
Did we have this one?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I just saw it. I saw this. Maybe it was on Wrestle Juice. I don't know. Yeah, they should get Hell in a Cell. That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Hell in a Cell.
Depending on how Bailey fits into it by SummerSlam, have it a triple threat.
Triple threat. Hey, I like that. That's good.
I think that'd be great. Gabriel Ribeiro here with a hot take says if WWE is running back past feud for Cena's heel run and don't get around to AJ, that's a missed opportunity.
I don't know.
Oh man, their feud was so good. Their two pay-per-view matches were awesome.
No, they were. They absolutely were.
Bring back the Good Brothers for this feud, just so they can say, beat up John Cena. Beat up John Cena.
And then they just go back away now?
I guess so, yeah.
They look so cool in New Japan, though. And I think they've already badmouthed WWE.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody involved think there's a money-making opportunity, I'm sure that's water under the bridge, man.
So the Good Brothers show up.
Yeah.
Say that. Go to Evolve.
Sure. No,
that's it.
Go back to NXT, lose to Hank and Tank again, and then their time is done.
Did they really lose to Hank and Tank?
They did lose to Hank and Tank back when they were in NXT, yeah. I believe so.
Wow.
But if not, Hank and Tank now tag champions, they get their win back.
Okay. And then they go to Evolve.
Sure, if you lose to Swipe Right, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Cena has enough dates.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
And AJ has not been positioned. I mean, he's going for the Intercontinental title right now. He's not being
I don't think he's going to win it either.
No, I don't think so. He's not being positioned as a main event guy. I'd love to see it because their feud in 2016 was awesome. I don't know if it's going to happen.
That's the thing, though. I don't think they can, they're not going to be able to recreate any of the brilliance of that.
Cena's thing now is not really putting on good matches. So
yeah, I know. Yeah.
We got a hot take here from David Walker. Says it's time to consider increasing the number of people in the Royal Rumble. 40 or 50 could work since WWE plays loose with the entrant time anyways. Do you want to see a 40 or 50 man Rumble?
Why stop there?
Everybody on the roster.
Right. Absolutely. 1,000%.
Night 1
22nd.
is one Rumble, the entire Rumble. Night 2 is the other Rumble, the entire Rumble. There's your shows.
I'm down with that. I think that's great. Put the champion in there too. Why not? If champion wins, he gets to say, I choose my opponent at WrestleMania, or I choose to take the night off.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I say the more Rumble, the better.
Agreed.
You know, why do they call that one the greatest Rumble when there was already a 40-man? Wait, was the greatest 50?
Yeah.
Boom. There you go.
So now you got to do 60 minimum.
And here's the thing. When you say everybody on the roster, we're talking Raw, SmackDown, NXT, LFG, Swipe Right, Evolve, everybody.
Heck, TNA 2, AAA.
Whoa. Oh, whoa. Pagano wins the Rumble? What?
Could be.
Pagano goes into business for himself?
There's a chance that happens.
Wins the Rumble? Yeah.
Final 2, Pagano and Chessman.
Pagano, Chessman, and then they got Swipe Right. And Swipe Right's like, we got to take these guys down. And then it's me and you, Karate Kid villain looking dude versus Jackson. Is Jackson Drake the other one?
It's, no, it's
Chad something or Brad.
Chad Baylor.
And
then Ricky Smoke.
And then, but then the Drake guy,
that's what, Vanity Project?
The Vanity Project, right?
Yeah.
So it's Jackson Drake and the Vanity and Swipe Right are the Vanity Project.
Yeah.
I don't even watch that shit.
I don't either. I just learned that from watching that one episode of NXT they were on.
Right. And it didn't make me want to watch it.
No. Nope.
Yeah, more Rumble, better.
Yeah, 1,000%. Next hot take here from Tony, the Pokemon guy, says WWE is presenting AAA better than AEW is presenting CMLL. You know, it's going to be interesting to see because we got Grand Slam Mexico coming up this Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be, obviously, MJF versus Mystico. There's probably going to be other AEW versus CMLL matches. Like, historically speaking, if an AEW talent's facing a talent from another promotion, the AEW talent goes over.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how the politics are handled in terms of who's going over in these matches. Because Mystico is like the most popular wrestler in CMLL.
Yeah. And it does, honestly, I think they kind of crossed the line by MJF saying, you were just a shitty Sin Cara. I think it's kind of like,
Yeah, no.
I don't know if you do that, man.
I know. You know, but like Worlds Collide was a good show. I think in the end, WWE talents got, 3 of the wins as opposed to 2 for AAA? Is that what it was?
Yeah, but one of them was the world title.
What's for the world title, or for the mega title? So that carries a little extra weight. You know, it's so like I appreciate when AEW has CML talents on Dynamite in showcase matches. It hasn't happened yet on Raw or SmackDown. They haven't had Mr. Iguana show up on Raw to have a match or anything like that yet. So
I'm watching Triple Mania on AAA's YouTube channel. It still very much seems like a AAA. Like a AAA production, which is neither here nor there. They have sold AAA talent. I mean, both companies obviously are presenting their counterparts, their partners here, as not quite on par with their guys. That goes for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
WWE, given that AAA is a recent acquisition, it feels like they have done a better job since that acquisition in paying homage and respect to that promotion. I feel like AAA, usually we just get like a lot of Excalibur speedrunning information.
Oh, with CMLL, yeah.
With CMLL. And so in terms of like how they're, I feel like, I don't know, maybe time will prove me wrong on this one, but for right now, I feel like WWE, and maybe it's because it's their shiny new toy, but I feel like they've done a better job putting the foot forward for AAA than AEW. Like, I still don't get much of a feel for like CMLL's characters via AEW programming.
Yeah.
And all we've had really with WWE, besides people sitting in the crowd and like Octagon Jr. being on Money in the Bank, which was only a 5-minute match and Dom won clean, was Worlds Collide, where they did a hell of a job explaining and Conan was talking a lot about. So like that Worlds Collide, I think is a better presentation of AAA than like the Forbidden Door stuff.
Yeah. I mean, also too, as you know, WWE has a vested business interest in promoting AAA.
Sure, it's theirs now.
It's
or
theirs
it will
now,
be, yeah.
whereas that's definitely not the case with AEW and CMLL. It's
Yeah,
just
it
a
is
partnership.
different, yeah.
It's a talent exchange. Seemingly right now, that's the deal they have. And I haven't really noticed on the CMLL shows where AEW talent have wrestled, like what have been the outcomes of those matches.
Yeah, I
haven't really noticed. So, but Dynamite this week. It's going to be interesting to see how it's all kind of positioned and how CMLL is presented within the context of AEW programming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that. All right, it's time for some music hot takes, Steve.
All right.
Bobby here says Chris Cornell was the best frontman and singer out of the big three.
I honestly think that this is one case where I'm happy to say objectively he's the best singer of them. And I think like if you take you, and you know more about this than I do, but if you take the mechanics of like range and I mean aura and presence, they all had that, right? But if you take a look at like the range of his singing, I feel like his was superior to the other three.
Yeah. I mean, he could probably have, a 4-octave range, something like that. I'll even go one better. You can make the case that Chris Cornell is the best songwriter because he wrote a vast majority of Soundgarden's songs.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And this is a really nerdy musical thing.
Sure.
But listen to Soundgarden's music. I really appreciate it because so much of rock music's just in 4/4 time.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
1, 2, 4 beats per measure. And so much of Soundgarden's oeuvre was not in 4/4. He can write really catchy melodic tunes in like 7/4 timing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
They were rhythmically really interesting songs while being harmonically and melodically dynamic and interesting.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And there would be time changes throughout the song. Musically, Soundgarden was probably the most interesting band of any of the grunge bands because they brought in influences from all over the place. And in terms of the musicality of what they did, it was off the charts.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's not exclusively, but a lot of that is Chris Cornell.
I feel like lyrically, he's probably my favorite as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, his lyrics were so varied and wide ranging and all very interesting, with the exception of like his later stuff, like "I've been away for too long."
Yeah,
hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah,
but like dude wrote a song about Spoon Man.
Yeah,
but it was a metaphor for shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah.
He started out as a drummer too, which might explain why his interest in different rhythms and timings.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Another music hot take here from Possibly Maddie says 90s rap hot take. Enter the Wu-Tang is better than any album from any member of NWA.
Yeah, I got to recuse myself from this one. I've never been a big, which is weird because like the lore and mythology is very comic booky with Wu-Tang, but like I never really endeavored to get into them. So
yeah,
I don't really
you're not
have
that well versed in Wu-Tang stuff.
No, I don't have a lot to say on this one. Although I find it hard to believe that anything is going to be better than the Chronic.
You gotta listen to Liquid Swords by the Jizza.
You think that's better than the Chronic?
I'm not gonna say it's better. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only Built for Cuban Links. That's a good one.
Okay.
Those are Wu-Tang soul albums. So Enter the Wu-Tang is great.
Yeah.
But it's obviously a subjective thing. I like Wu-Tang a lot. I want to go see them. They're going to be in town here in a couple weeks.
Oh, nice. Where are they playing? Ace of Spades?
Golden One.
Oh, Golden One. Right.
Yeah.
On.
It's their
That's
farewell
cool.
tour.
Ooh. All right.
Last one here. This is going to take some thought, some consideration. So get a pen and paper ready, Steve.
Oh, shit.
Victimizer says top 5 desert island albums.
Yeah.
So Vic here lists OK Computer.
Yeah.
Tool's Anima. Melancholy and Infinite Sadness from Smashing Pumpkins. Pink Floyd's The Wall. And Led Zeppelin 3 by, of course, Led Zeppelin.
I like that he chose one. He chose one double album, which seems 2 double albums. Wait,
Yeah.
The Wall was a double album.
Yeah, Wall and both Melancholy.
So kind of
and Wall.
cheating on this one.
A little
I feel like
bit.
he should choose disc 1 or disc 2.
Agreed. or limit himself to one other album.
Right. Yeah. You got to ditch something here.
So, do you remember Tower Records used to have Pulse magazine?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And they'd always have in the beginning of it, people would always send their lists of Desert Island discs.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I always loved that part of it.
Yeah. All right. So Desert Island stuff.
I don't have a writing utensil here.
Boy, oh boy. What do we get? 5? We get 5 Desert Island albums. All right.
Including, apparently, double albums are cool. You can have double albums.
Yeah. Are there any double albums that I'm like, yeah, definitely this one? Yeah, probably not. I don't know if George Harrison's All Things Must Pass really should have been a single album.
It would have been a fantastic single album.
It would have been a killer single album. I wonder if he would have made more. I wonder if he would have sold more or not. If it's just like, oh man.
But that was the 70s. It's all about the excess,
Yeah.
Everybody was doing double albums back then.
Yeah. Golly, man. Dude, I don't know. This is tough. This is like how am I gonna boil this down?
It is tough. That's the idea.
Because this album's really short, but I got to put it on there. Let's see. I am going to try not to think about this too long.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we'll do this one. I will have a double album on here.
Oh, I'm curious to see which one it is then.
I am going to have that. We'll put that on there. And then, gee whiz. Man. You know what? I'm going to do that too.
I guess technically I'm going to have one double album on here.
I will go with this one here. Oops, go to artist. What is the name of that album? Okay, here we go. All right. I think I've got mine.
All right, go ahead. I'm still thinking about my last one.
All right.
Give me the album and explain why.
Take a guess what the double album's going to be.
Oh, is it the White Album?
Very good. That is the Beatles' most varied album. They've got all sorts of shit going on there. And with the exception of if I want a sound collage, I can even have a sound collage.
You got that. You can get Revolution 9 on there.
I got that. So I got the White Album. My Radiohead pick is going to be In Rainbows. I think that might be my favorite Radiohead album. I mean, I know it's like I'm taking the White Album and not Sgt. Pepper, even though I think Sgt. Pepper's better. I'm taking In Rainbows, even though I think OK Computer's better. But In Rainbows just hits. It just hits me. Mm-hmm. My grunge pick is going to be Super Unknown.
Great record.
Because that has probably the widest variety of picks on it as well. The aforementioned The Chronic, in case I want to throw like a party on this island of mine. Mm-hmm. And then for the sake of nostalgia, because this album always reminds me of my dad, and I just love it to death, is Van Morrison's Moon Dance. So those are my picks.
Good picks. I do have a double album on mine.
Nice.
Although it's a single CD, when you buy it, it was originally a double album on vinyl. It's Sonic Youth's Daydream Nation.
Okay, all right.
Again, if I'm stuck on a desert island, I want I get it. You want maximum length.
You do.
Because I was thinking about for the Sonic Youth album, I was going to put on here Evolve, but that's a much shorter album, so I'll go with Daydream Nation. Mm-hmm. For my Radiohead album, it's Kid A. I think that's my favorite. I'm going to go with Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet.
It's a good one, yeah.
Fantastic record. Bon Iver's self-titled record, Bon Iver.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me stop you right there.
What?
God damn, man, you're on a desert island? You're going to yourself if you listen to that.
I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that record. If I just want to chill out, like lay on the beach. Maybe I'm fishing.
Wait, isn't this a desert?
It's a desert island.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. So there's water around.
There's water. So if I'm trying to fish or something, this is great. Just chill out fish music, you know?
Yeah. It's good fish music.
And then finally, Outcast Stankonia.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a good one. Yeah. Have a party on your album, on your island.
Exactly.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Those are my
All right,
five.
man. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Moondance probably make me cry. I'll probably ditch Moondance. I'll ditch Moondance and I'll put Beck's Midnight Vultures on there.
There you go.
Can't you see those memory drums? Road check. Sitting there dancing the whole time.
Yeah. You listened to, was it Deborah? I want to get with you.
I want to get with you at the Cerritos Auto Mall.
Oh, it's the line. I'm going to drive you down to Glendale.
Yeah.
Have a real good meal.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for the show today. Let us know what your desert island top 5 albums are going to be in the comments below. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.